afternoon. My name is Caitlin, Customer Success Manager here at SONAR, and welcome back to WithSONAR. This webinar is designed to help explore tools and use cases to enhance your overall SONAR experience. Last episode, we went over some market indicators you should be watching to confidently back your decisions in this changing market. And this week, I'm going to highlight our new Geopolitical Alerts, which allow you to provide teams with immediate visibility into any emerging risk and where to monitor that impact. I will share my screen with you. So the geopolitical alerts are going to be available right within your executive dashboard, which is the landing page right when you log into SONAR. So as you can see here at the top, we're going to give you a concise summary of the developing situation, some clear directional implications for freight markets, and then direct links to relevant SONAR dashboards to help monitor that impact in real time. So in the case of the Middle East escalation that we are currently dealing with, we're giving a brief overview of that situation and then how it's affecting the overall transportation market from, an international perspective to an intermodal perspective, and what we offer within SONAR for you to monitor those impacts. So I'm going to start off with our regional trade analysis, which is going to allow you to drill down to those ocean insights directly within SONAR. So you can see for the Middle East and North Africa specifically, how it relates to imports, how that volume has changed in the last week, monthly, and the annual change. We'll also show you which countries that this is showing data for or being affected, and then an overview of what we're watching out for in those areas. You can drill that down a little bit further if you want to look at the specific countries that are importing into the US, and then you can again see how weekly, monthly, and annually we've seen that volume fluctuate. You're also able to switch this to intermodal volumes as well, if that's going to be a better indicator for your transportation network. Over to the right, we're going to show you those top international trade lanes. Again, you can filter this by the exports or the imports, and we'll give you that current value and how it has shifted as well. So looking like a lot of the Middle East is dropping down in the last week due to the conflict. So just seeing how this plays out and how it fluctuates long term. At the bottom, we are showing you these countries again that are importing into the US and how they have shifted or changed within the last year to see if there's been any significant shifts that we need to be aware of that could affect your overall transportation market. So if you are currently dealing with any imports that come from the Middle East to the US, or if that area heavily, is integrated in your transportation network, this is going to help be informed on any shifts and really see that first look at time of booking with our data to see any potential disruption to your freight. If I go back to the Geopolitical Alert tab within Executive Dashboard, we also have our ocean supply and demand page. This is going to be a more in-depth overview of our ocean and international data. So if you operate heavily on the ocean side and you want more insight on lead times, port congestion, transit times, all of that, we do have that page available as well. However, that is going to be an add-on to your current subscription. So if you do not currently have access to that ocean supply and demand page, you can reach out to your account manager to discuss that further. Now, if anything is going to be at risk with any conflict in the Middle East, it's definitely going to be fuel costs. That is going to be the first area of concern when we hear of conflict there. And we've actually created a new fuel dashboard for you to be able to track oil and diesel cost transmission all in one place. So again, if you click within the geopolitical alert on this fuel dashboard, you will be taken to this page. At the top, we're doing an overview of the main data sets and how they fluctuated in the last 52 weeks. So these are our gauge charts, and what it is showing you is a 52-week high, low, and average, and the large number in the middle is going to be that current value. So this allows you to easily see how those values are trending compared to the last year. Are they higher than usual, lower than usual, or right there in the middle? And as you can see currently, everything is pretty heavily elevated compared to the last year. On the charts in the middle, this is going to allow you to dive a little bit deeper into those data sets. So we have the retail to wholesale fuel spread in blue, overlaid with that DOE cost on a national level. So as you can see in peach here, the DOE average is pretty heavily increasing in the last few months, where we have the spread between that retail to wholesale fuel charge heavily decreasing because fuel is climbing so fast it cannot keep up. We are also monitoring that crude spot price here. So you can see that has also been climbing for all of 2026 so far. If you continue scrolling down, we're also going to reference relevant news articles so you can stay up to date on any changes in news that could be affecting overall fuel cost, and you can easily click to those articles there. And if you keep going down, we have some more granular fuel information for you. So we're breaking down that DOE price per gallon into those pad regions. As you can see, everything is up across the board. But if you only heavily operate out of California or the Northeast, you can just focus on those changes in current values instead of the national average. We also have that diesel retail price, which is going to be available on a market level. So this is showing you all the markets. Again, we are seeing increases across the board. However, if you only operate in certain markets specifically and you are an owner operator that's filling up at the truck stops and you want to know how that's shifting, you can keep an eye on that there. And then lastly, we have those DOE prices by region on a map. So if you prefer a map view, you also have the option to view it there. Lastly, if we go back to that geopolitical alerts, we are also highlighting macro indicators. So any adjustments with those ISM data sets or flatbed volumes and rejections, you can view directly within the executive dashboard. So at the top, we have those flatbed rejections in dark orange. So we are seeing those pretty heavily increase in the last few months. If you scroll to the middle, again, we have flatbed in orange here, and that is looking at volume. So seeing flatbed volume also pretty heavily increasing, which we know flatbed is pretty heavily correlated to the manufacturing market. At the bottom of the executive dashboard is where we have those economic indicators. So really diving deeper into those economic shifts and what you want to keep an eye on for any significant changes that could affect the transportation market. This new update allows you to connect global events directly to those actionable freight indicators to help reduce reaction time for your procurement and pricing strategy, and also equip your executive teams with a centralized risk radar directly into the market overview that we're already staying on top of in this ever-changing market. All of these updates are available within your SONAR subscription to make sure you're set up for success to stay ahead of any freight market disruptors. If you have any questions, you can reach out to us at CS@WithSONAR or your account manager to discuss this further. I hope you enjoyed this episode of WithSONAR, and we'll come back to hang out with me next time. Have a great week.